Hello, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, depending where you are. So, General Michael Langley, African commander, has given a first interview after his false accusation against Ibrahim Traoré in the U.S. Senate. Now, this interview is with Citizen Digital Kenya, and he is there for a conference of Chief of Defense Staff of the African Chief of Defense Staff Conference in Nairobi. That's started yesterday. So I will upload the full interview, but here we are. I'm going to share with you specifically the question on Burkina Faso. So let's listen to it together. He has completely denied, he refused to apologize, and he kind of downplayed it. Listen to him.
General, let's talk about countries taking on their own autonomy. You are on African soil, not for the first time, but this would be a good moment to ask about one of the countries that has taken its own autonomy, and that's Burkina Faso. Your remarks recently at the Senate seem to suggest that he's diverting, General Traoré, is diverting its 4 billion gold reserves to sustain his military rule rather than for public welfare. These remarks sparked widespread condemnation across the continent. What did you mean by that statement?
Let me speak to Burkina Faso's sovereignty. They maintain their sovereignty. They make their decisions how they use their resources. They make their decisions who their resources go to for military support. That's their sovereign right. But my cautionary tale was just from a military perspective. That was a Senate Armed Services Committee asking me a direct question. Burkina Faso, a lot of great things going on to progress them forward, okay? But then when you look at the military part of it, knowing that that's the epicenter of global terrorism, it was my time to illuminate that this is probably their weakest point, and there needs to be sufficient resources going towards for the whole fight of terrorism in that country. Period. They make their decisions, though. That's their sovereignty, their sovereign right to make their decisions, what is appropriate, what's not. But I wanted to illuminate that it's going in the wrong direction now. ISIS is getting stronger. JNIM is getting stronger. Al-Qaeda in the lands of the Maghreb is getting stronger in that country.
And do you think it's getting stronger after General Traoré took over?
It has. Just look at the numbers of attacks. It really has since 2022. I've been tracking this since I took command. So no ill will towards him, but the decisions is their own. They're looking for other ways to be able to, they're still on warfighting footing. It's just going to take more resources.
So you stand by that statement? Because there's been pressure on you to walk those statements back.
That's my statement. That's my assessment. That is getting worse. More needs to be done for not just local, but whole of country, because of these violent extremist organizations are seeking revenue. They're seeking resources. They're seeking recruiting from the Burkinabe people. And they're seeking refuge within their country. That threatens their sovereignty.
And that threatens America's interest?
Say again?
Does that then threaten America's interests?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Because especially ISIS, and of course,
Yeah, he said so. Thank you for asking that. Basically, he is trying to find a reason why he made that comment against the Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He's African commander, which is the United States Army. And the question is, what does U.S. has to do in what's happening in Africa? What is happening in Burkina Faso? It's their business to use their natural resource for what. So it looks like he was looking for a reason, and she just gave him one, which is, okay, that will trait what he's doing, meaning Captain Ibrahim Traoré doing, will trait the American interests. I think that's the way. Oh, thank you for asking that. So anyway, let's go on and listen to him, continue to watch him.
In East Africa is inextricably linked all the way to ISIS Sahel, because especially ISIS, and of course in East Africa is inextricably linked all the way to ISIS West Africa, ISIS Sahel, and there's going to be probably a move afoot for them to move and seek refuge within the line. So we have shared objectives, and we offer to work together with the Burkina government and border countries. Mali, Niger, coastal West Africa countries collective, because here's what these organizations do. Here's what these terrorist organizations do. They seek refuge in the seams or the borders of these countries and lets them thrive and grow, and lets them recruit, gain resources to carry on their illicit and nefarious activities against the populations of those people.
And what would America, perhaps Africa, be prepared to do? Would you be considering an ouster like we saw with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya? Because there's still many Africans who are yet to recover from that. If this is a bigger threat, as you say, in Burkina Faso, what is Africa prepared to do about it?
We do indications and warnings.
I think well done by the journalist to ask him and put him on the spot by asking that important question. Now all you have to do is just see his body language and how he does it, because you can't lie really. Your words might be a lie, but your body language cannot be so. However, you are trained to do that. So just watch him what he answered. Like, are you trying to do what you did to Muammar Gaddafi? Because eventually that's what's going to do.
There's a number of activities that.
What would America, perhaps Africa, be prepared to do? Would you be considering an ouster like we saw with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya? Because there's still many Africans who are yet to recover from that. If this is a bigger threat, as you say, in Burkina Faso, what is Africa prepared to do about it?
We do indications and warnings. There's a number of activities that we do, and we'll just go ahead and mention building institutional capacity. There's not going to be U.S. boots on the ground. Very, very small for exchange of ideas and training, exercises. Over time, that builds institutional capacity and capability in these armies. There, AFRICOM, we are working towards a burden sharing and a burden shift for their independent operations. That's our goal. We have the shared objectives because these same terrorist groups can threaten our homeland. So we're in concert. I was just in African Lion over in Morocco. A number of countries working together to be able to
Is Burkina Faso invited here today for this conference?
Yes. Yes, they were invited to African Lion in Morocco. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Like I said, we're moving forward.
Okay.
We're moving forward because we have that shared goal of defeating terrorism.
All right. Speaking of that, because the reaction out of the statements that you made about Burkina Faso were several African leaders feeling you are speaking on sovereignty issues that America shouldn't be. And as a result, there are those who see the role of Africa as less of a partner in, the war against, shared threats, as you mentioned, and more of a protector of Western or American economic interests that allows access to Africa's vast mineral resources, and as more of a paternalistic relationship than one of respect amongst peers. What would you respond to that?
I respond that there's others on the globe that do that. There's others on the globe that
Like
do
who?
that. Now, I'm not
Like
even
who,
bring it
General?
up. We should have even already know. Okay, but I'm going to even bring that up.
Okay.
We respect the sovereignty. We respect their decisions. We respect their decisions of who they choose as a security partner. And then we measure the common denominator that's keeping these countries across the Sahel from progressing forward. In 2050, the largest workforce on the globe is going to come out of the continent of Africa. The youth need hope. They need peace and stability so they can hit their potentials. That's a long-range goal of AFRICOM as we look to help these countries set those conditions for stability and security so prosperity can be presented to all the populations and the youth. Pan-Africanism is real and it's strong, and there's an opportunity to come up on the global stage, and this continent can do it. That's what we really envision.
So you're not concerned about China and Russia expanding their military and economic influence across the continent?
We are concerned about it, yes.
What about it concerns you?
Well, their influence. Their influence may not be looked upon as being a positive influence.
For who? For America or for Africa?
Well, for Africans, okay? And then so Americans have that have that in mind, that for the African people and across all countries be able to hit their maximum potential and independence and sovereignty and also freedoms by rules-based international order, being able to get on the global stage and take a leadership role and provide for the people in peace and stability. Some of those aims are not the same as the approach of those other countries on the global stage. So that's my perspective.
Do you have a counter strategy?
Do we have a counter strategy as far as to
China, Russia, their presence, because you say it doesn't align with the shared values?
Well, what we watch is the continent of Africa does not need to be militarized, let's put it that way. Does not need to be militarized. And so we watch, as far as security agreements and what does it mean? Is it really for the stability to fight the threats of a African country, or is it for them and their ability to establish a global hegemon of basis? That's what concerns us.
All right. We'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much.
Right.
General Michael Langley.
Thank you.
So I would say this is my quick reflection, although I would like to do a detailed analysis on this. First of all, she raised a couple of questions, which is important, like, on that note, speaking of autonomy, he's not on Burkina Faso, and if he still stands by his comment, which he approved that he will not apologize, he doesn't have to say it directly, but this is exactly what he told us. And also what will be, indirectly her following question was the fate of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, and he said no, no, we don't intend to interfere, he said. But again, as here, Sister Honor Ryan, you pointed it well, he's contradicting himself even in this just few minutes conversations by saying we respect their sovereignty, he said. But again, bringing your military and surrounding those countries is, breaching sovereignty. This is exactly those what Sahel states are against, and that's why they wanted the French military to leave their country. It's a breach of sovereignty. And again, was it Honor Ryan who asked, or is it Healy Duvalier who asked? I mean, did they ask you for your help? That's the thing. Are you forcing them behind the door by few thousands or millions of dollars that you are throwing to these countries and not countries, I wouldn't say, because country is made up of by its people, and it doesn't include what you're doing, the consent of the people in those specific countries. So just by you behind door agreement with those governments, you force and twist arms those governments to bring your military and then to loot the natural resource. That's what you are doing. So, you might not say directly that, oh, we intend to invade and throw away Ibrahim Traoré, but what you're doing practically, you move your actions intend to prove so by surrounding those countries militarily. There is not a single country right now that shares a border of those Sahel states that the U.S. military is not there. In all countries that surrounding them, you have all your militaries, and your in and out meeting with Ivory Coast is what proves your action. And then what an irony, you say that, oh, Burkina Faso is invited in this chief of defense staff meeting in Nairobi for African military. I think if that is so I want your comment and your opinion on this. Do you think that the Burkina Faso chief of army or whatever should have participated in this meeting and to make his point, or just to disregard it? That's one. Second, I would have loved to see a question from the journalist, also as much as she bring his comment and where he stand by that after the mass rally reaction from the African people. If she asked him, also quoting Captain Ibrahim Traoré response, as he said in his interview with Sputnik Africa when he was in Russia, where he said it's just sad to see black people being used for this. And then also another one, there is no data, that proves, if she should have asked him, do you have really any data to say so that he used his resource for his own personal security? Is there any numbers, statistics from where you bring that up? Those are the things I would have loved to see. But she raised fair questions. So all of you who have tuned here, Wilbert's paradigm shift, her sister Aronine, and the Healy Freedom Movement, all of you, thank you very much, and Joseph for your comment and questions and suggestions. I'm going to upload right after this the full video, which also she asked him a question about what's happening in East Africa or in the Horn of Africa, in Sudan. Those are important things to get the view of America, because he is a commander of the U.S. military in Africa, right then. So I will see you on the next one. It's a bye for me for now. Please share the video with others and support us through our PayPal account and buy me a coffee link. Thanks again. Bye-bye.